On January 12, 1925, a mountaineer named Agnes Vaille stood on the summit of Long's Peak in the dark. She and her climbing partner had just finished the first winter climb of the mountain's frozen east face. The temperature was 14 below zero. On the way down, she slipped and fell about 100 feet. She survived the fall, but she could not walk. Her partner left to find help. By the time rescuers reached her, she had frozen to death waiting. One of the men who tried to save her broke his hip on the same slope and froze too. One climb, two deaths. 100 years later, hikers still walk past the stone shelter built in her memory and keep climbing anyway. Long's Peak is widely regarded as the deadliest 14,000-foot peak in Colorado, though the exact ranking shifts depending on the data set and years counted. And it isn't even the state's strangest killer. One nearby peak has an actual government sign warning it kills without warning. And in one record year for deaths on Colorado's 14ers, most of the people who died weren't even on the scary part of the mountain. Colorado has 58 officially recognized 14ers, mountains over 14,000 feet. Pull up any list of America's must-do hikes, and most of them are on it. But the danger is not spread evenly across all 58. Look at the death records from the last several years. More than half of the deaths cluster on just 6 peaks: Long's, the 2 Maroon Bells, Capitol, and the 2 Crestones. Most of the other 14ers are, statistically, ordinary walk-ups. A small handful of mountains are doing almost all the killing. Here is the part that surprises people. Rocky Mountain National Park, home to Long's Peak, ranks as only the 8th most dangerous national park in the country. Between 2010 and 2020, it recorded 49 deaths, 18 of them falls. The Grand Canyon and Yosemite both have higher death tolls. So this is not a park with a reputation problem. Its danger is narrow and specific, not spread across every trail like the more famous parks. Millions of people visit every year, and almost all of them go home fine. That should tell you something. This is not bad luck striking hikers by chance. 6 mountains, a handful of specific features, and the same mistakes made again and again. Which means before you plan a trip here, you need to know exactly where the real danger is hiding, and it's not always where you expect. That sign is real. It stands at the start of the trail to the Maroon Bells, just outside Aspen, and it does not soften anything. It names the peaks the Deadly Bells and warns hikers that the rock is loose, rotten, and unstable. It adds that the gullies below the summit can be as deadly as the climb itself.
Here is why the mountain earns that warning. Most Colorado peaks are granite or other hard crystalline rock that holds together under a climber's boot. The Maroon Bells are mudstone and siltstone, hardened mud and silt pressed into rock over millions of years. It's the iron oxide in that rock that gives the peaks their famous deep red color, and it's also why they crumble. Step on the wrong ledge, and it can simply give way with no warning sound and no crack to hear coming. The nickname dates to 1965, when 8 people died there in 5 separate accidents in a single season. At least 10 more deaths have followed since 2000. And here's the strange part. These are the most photographed mountains in Colorado. Tourists line up at dawn for the same postcard shot, a few hundred feet from a sign warning that the mountain in the photo can kill without notice. Sometime in 2017, someone unbolted that bronze sign and walked off with it. No one ever confirmed why. Even the warning itself couldn't survive the mountain's reputation. Remember the mountain where most of the deaths happened on the part that looked safe? That is Capitol Peak, and it earns that reputation honestly. Climbers who attempt Capitol spend weeks dreading one obstacle: the knife edge, a narrow ridge with a drop on both sides. It looks terrifying in every photo, and most people who cross it do so carefully, gripping rock with both hands, moving an inch at a time. It is not what kills the most people on this mountain. In 2017, Capitol had its worst season on record. 5 climbers died. 3 of them died on the same feature, a gully on the north face that looks like an easy, gentle way down. Hikers now call it Death Gully. From above, it looks like a plain walk. It is not. It turns into loose scree, rock that slides under your boots, and the scree ends at a 600-foot drop. People spend the whole climb worried about the ridge everyone warned them about, then die instead on the slope that never scared them at all. That is the pattern across almost every deadly peak in Colorado. It is never the obstacle you're staring at. It is the one you stopped paying attention to. If a video like this is useful before your next trip, hit like and subscribe. It helps more people see this before they need it. So far, every death in this video came from rock. Colorado's real signature killer is something else. It is the sky. Colorado ranks 3rd in the country for lightning deaths, behind only Florida and Texas. On an average day in July, the peak of hiking season, the state records roughly 5,350 lightning flashes. That danger is not spread evenly. El Paso County has recorded 10 lightning deaths since 1980, tied with Larimer County for the most in the state, more than some entire states have had in that same stretch of years. Here is why it catches so many hikers above treeline. Colorado mornings on a 14er often start calm and clear, cold air, still sky, easy walking, but heat rising off the valley floor builds thunderstorms fast, and by early afternoon, the same peak that looked friendly at sunrise can turn into the tallest lightning rod for miles, with nowhere to hide and no fast way down. That is the reason behind a rule every search and rescue team in Colorado repeats: summit early, be back below treeline by noon. Lightning deaths on these mountains follow a pattern. People reach the summit safely, then run out of time getting down before the sky turns on them. The mountain rarely changes. The weather always does. Not every Colorado death here came from a fall or a storm. Some of it came from people. In the winter of 1874, a prospector named Alfred Packer led 5 men into the San Juan Mountains, chasing gold, against the advice of Chief Ouray of the Utes. Winter buried them. Months later, Packer walked out alone, with cash that was not his and a story that did not add up. Under questioning, he confessed. His companions had died, one by one, and the living had eaten the dead. Packer gave several different accounts over the years, and exactly what happened between those 6 men in the snow is still disputed. What is certain is that Packer stood trial twice, was found guilty first of murder, then of manslaughter, and served time in prison before he was paroled. Colorado never let the story go. In 1968, students at the University of Colorado Boulder renamed the campus dining hall the Alfred G. Packer Memorial Grill. Now simply called the Alfred Packer Grill, it's still serving food today. If you were hoping to visit the actual site near Lake City, you were too late. It sat on private land that the owner used to leave open to visitors. In 2021, the landowner closed it for good. The mountain that made the story is still there. The place where it happened is not. Here is something almost nobody knows until they need it. If you get in trouble on a Colorado mountain, calling for help will not cost you anything. Backcountry search and rescue in Colorado is free. Every team that responds, whether it is a sheriff's team or a mountain rescue group, is made up of volunteers. None of them bill you for showing up, searching for you, treating you on the mountain, or walking you back to the trailhead. That is true whether you own a rescue card or not. If your situation turns into a medical emergency and you need a helicopter or an ambulance ride to a hospital, that part can come with a bill, the same as it would anywhere else. But the search and the rescue itself never do. There is a small $5 card people buy called a Corsair card. It does not buy you a rescue. It reimburses the teams for gas, gear, and equipment. It does not pay the volunteers themselves. Most of them don't see a cent for the hours they spend looking for strangers in the dark. Officials say the same thing every year. Call early. Do not wait until you are too exhausted, too cold, or too far gone to make the call yourself. If you've ever hesitated to call for help or know someone who has, tell us in the comments. 2017 tied 2010 for Colorado's worst season of 14er deaths on record, according to the Colorado 14ers Initiative, which has tracked fatalities since 2000. 10 people died on these peaks that summer alone, and it forced the state to ask a hard question: why now? Mountain safety officials pointed to a few different explanations, and even they didn't fully agree. Some blamed a surge of new climbers finding routes through social media. They were learning a mountain from a photo instead of a guidebook, never seeing the exposure a camera flattens out. Others who had spent years on these peaks offered a different read. On Capitol Peak alone, 5 climbers died that year, and 3 of them died making the exact same mistake on the exact same slope. What both sides agree on is this: the peaks did not get any harder in 2017. The rock did not change. What changed was how many people showed up more confident than prepared, and how thin the margin already was. Search and rescue teams and state tourism officials responded with public awareness campaigns. The message was blunt: a photo online cannot teach you a route, and confidence built on a screen is not the same as experience built on rock. That is the pattern this whole video keeps circling back to. The mountain rarely surprises anyone who respects it. It only surprises the people who never saw it as dangerous in the first place. If you take one thing from this video, take this: Colorado's 14ers are not random. 6 mountains, a handful of features, and a short list of mistakes explain almost every name on this list. Crossing without checking the weather, choosing the gully that looks easy, waiting too long to turn around, or being too proud to call for a rescue that costs nothing. None of that is complicated. It just has to be remembered at 13,000 feet, tired with the summit close and the weather turning. 100 years ago, Agnes Vaille survived a 100-foot fall on Longs Peak. What killed her was not the fall. It was waiting too long in the cold for someone else to reach her. Almost every death in this video traces back to some version of the same thing: a small decision made a little too late. The mountain never once changed its mind about how it treats mistakes. The peaks are still there. They are still beautiful. People climb them safely every single day. Go if you want to go. Just go knowing what these mountains actually are. If this kept you watching until the end, that's the whole point of a video like this. This video is for education, not a route guide. Check conditions before you go. See you on the next one.